Hey dudes, Jason here with a quick tutorial just sort of explaining the concept of mats and masks. Alright, so they're roughly similar, but the way that they operate are well, they do the same thing, but the way that they operate or the way they do that thing are quite different. And they are both very useful things to know. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm basically just going to just draw out a basic shape for now to just to show you what it is exactly that these do. Alright, so if I have a layer or a shape selected and then I grab my sort of shape tool or I grab my pen tool, you'll see that I get this little option up here. Alright, and what this essentially says is draw another shape layer, sort of like add another rectangle to this current shape layer, or draw a mask. Right, so if I draw a mask in the center here, you'll see that even though I've still got the parameters of the square, and you'll see that if I move my mask off of that square, it actually sort of, you can see where the fall off is. We're only then showing it within this parameter. Alright, and these masks can be found in the drop down. If we sort of collapse it and I hit M, it will bring up my masks, and you'll see that I now have a couple of options here. Alright, so currently it's set to add, which means that it's going to show whatever inside of these lines. Subtract is going to essentially cut out what's inside these lines. So this will help me, for example, especially seeing as the mask can actually be animated, although it is a little bit of a mission to do so. I could animate this to cut out certain sections or hide little areas that maybe are sticking out or not necessarily acting the way that you want them to. And then we can in fact add multiple masks to a shape. Right, so I could click and add another mask. This one is obviously set to add, so you'll see that where they overlap, it now adds that. If I were to set that one to subtract, it would do the exact same thing. If I were to set it to intersect, you'll see that then it shows the area that essentially is the positive and then cuts across one another there. If this was set to add, the intersect would then only show where these two overlap. Alright, let me just get rid of this mask quickly. You'll also see that we have an inverted option. So if you've set it and you know that you only wanted to sort of do the add or subtract or the, let me just undo that quickly. Bring that mask back, or intersect. If I were to invert it, you see that it essentially just does the opposite of what it's currently doing. Alright, so that is just a brief introduction to masks. Now, mats, which are sort of my favorite aspect of things. And we're actually going to do a quick exercise just to show you what mats do. Again, I'm going to refer back to, I have just blanked on his name now. We used his example for one of our animations in the previous tutorial. I'll make sure to add the type here with his name and his Instagram handle. And he has these fantastic sort of just like a small mat exercise where we have essentially what looks like two sort of reflective sheens of light passing across this particular shape here. Alright, and then we have it sort of moving up and down. So we're going to recreate that. I'm going to call this square 1. Square 1. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly animate this. So I'm just going to move its position. And I can actually also then just introduce you to the concept of scripts. A very simple one. So let's have it move up. At the beginning, I actually wanted to sort of be down here. Alright, so up, and then you can copy paste that keyframe. Okay, so if you're working on a Mac and you hold down Option, if you're working on Windows, you hold down Alt, and you click on the stopwatch, you'll see that our numbers then go red, and we actually get this expression where we can type in a bit of code. So if I type in loop, right, so you'll see loop in, loop out, loop in duration. I'm just going to go with loop out. And What do I do at this point? I'm just trying to remember now. I think I can actually just leave it at that. And what loop out is going to do is it's just going to read these keyframes and continue throughout. All right, so that's pretty cool. Right now it's moving a little bit fast, so I'm just going to quickly drag these out over the course of a couple of seconds. And then I will add easing to those, just so that we've got a little bit of movement going on. And then I can end my timeline here just to make sure that it's a perfect loop. And yeah, then we're pretty much ready to continue with this exercise. All right, let's make this square just a little bit smaller. And then what we're going to do is we are going to make a couple of rectangles. Right, so that's shape layer 1, and what we'll do then is we'll just make a thinner version like so. We'll call that shape layer 2. Let me just color code these. Set it to the same color that it is. Yeah, I am not an intelligent man. Okay, cool. So I have now got these. I'm just going to make sure that my anchor points are sitting in the center of these. I can just quickly grab them and use my rotation tool just to sort of give us, it's going to pass over in that direction. We can make these white just so we can actually see what we're doing. And yeah, so these are essentially just going to pass over this square. All right, so in order to also just do that, let's move this a little bit closer, something like that. Okay, so I'm going to animate these. I'm actually going to just right click here and make a null object, and this is just going to allow me to animate one layer to get this right. So I'll parent both of these, not shy them, parent them. Columns, parent link, there we go. And I'll parent them to my null object, and I'm then just going to animate the position of this null object to move across like so. All right, so let's do that, and we're going to move it across like that, and we're actually going to just parent our null to that square, which means that no matter sort of like where the square is at any point, it's going to then continue. All right, I can then also then just create another loop. I'm going to use loop in, and that should then, never mind. Let's do that and copy this. And I want to toggle hold this keyframe here so that it ends. Okay, well, my loop is not necessarily working for me. Let's try our loop out. For those of you who are experienced with expressions, I am not particularly experienced, but there we go. So we've got that going. I just want to retime it quickly to my squares, so that our timing is nice and simple. Let's add easing to you, and we can actually just add easing to both of you, and then we can then still just toggle hold that keyframe. All right, so there we go. So that's going to loop for us now. Cool. Okay, so I essentially just want to now have this shape. We're going to give it a stroke, and we're going to make it black, and I want to then just give this like a white outline. And let's make this black for now. And then in order to be able to see what we're still doing, I'll just turn off this. All right, so there are those, just so we don't lose them. Okay, so essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a duplicate of this square. All right, so I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm going to call it matte. All right, my sort of personal method is just always to set mattes to dark green so I can find them easier, but that's obviously up to you as well. All right, so mattes have to sit on top of the layer that they are going to affect. All right, so that means that my matte 1 and matte 2 need to sit above shape layer 1 and shape layer 2. In fact, what I can do is also just shy these for now so that we're only looking at these. Okay, so there's a couple of options. If I toggle my switches and merge, you'll see we've got track mattes. All right, and let's just drag ourselves out to where these are overlapping. Okay, so what's happening here then is these track mats are essentially duplicates of the layer that we want to affect with an A, what it is that we're seeing. All right, so if we then set our shape layer to alpha matte, and let's just hide this one for now, what you'll see then is, if I just zoom in here, it's actually being cut out. It's only showing the information that is overlapping. All right. If I were to turn this off quickly, you've got a better view. If I set this to alpha inverted, you'll see then that it cuts out that information that is overlapping and only shows it on the outside, which is also looking pretty cool. Then we take a look at things like Luma Matte and Luma Inverted, and these work quite well when we're doing sort of green screen things. I typically only work with alpha mattes. It's kind of what I sort of just find myself on the projects that I'm working on. So again, just jump onto YouTube. I'm sure you'll find some fantastic tutorials using the Luma Matte. They'll know a lot more about that than I do. Okay, so let me set this one to alpha matte as well, and we can then see what happens here. All right, so we get these two icons. We've got this little black circle and we've got this little white circle, and these show that this matte is affecting this shape. Essentially, that little white circle is plugging into that little empty space. All right, and unfortunately it is difficult at the beginning to remember what needs to be tracked to what. So if I were to accidentally set my track matte, like the actual matte, to the shape layer above, like so, it's doing the same thing that I wanted to do now. That's a little bit of a sort of coincidence. Don't necessarily want that to occur like that. Another thing that happens is you'll see that the layer that is the matte will automatically be turned off. All right, so that is then essentially it's turning off the visibility, but then it's revealing what is seen where that information overlaps. And I'm sure that you're sick and tired of me sort of saying this now. Cool. So we've now got this sort of sheen moving across our square. Okay, and then just to sort of like recreate the effect that again, sorry, the animator, I'll put his name back up again. To recreate that effect, what I can do is I'm going to quickly select all these layers, and I'm going to do what is called a pre-composition. All right, so we remember the compositions are the boxes that we work inside of, and if I hit Command or Control Shift C, you'll see that we get a pre-compose. So essentially we're saying take these layers, put them into their own composition box, but keep that composition visible in our timeline. All right, so I'm going to call this large square. Okay, and you'll see then that I obviously can turn off everything there. It's still working the way that I want it to, and I'm going to duplicate that twice. I'll relabel these as small square, and we'll just call that left, and small square right, small square right. And what we'll do then is we will move these to the side. All right, so we'll do that. I'm going to scale this down like so, and I'll sort of just move it up here. And then I'll grab my small square for the left. Remember that I've turned this one off. Let's scale that down to 46 as well, and we'll just put that there. Also, I just have to keep in mind that it is moving, so we don't want it to move outside the frame. All right, so obviously that one does. So I'm actually just going to put these here like this. And then I can retime it. So I could essentially retime it to the point where, let's see. Okay, so moves, our sheen hits our center square over here, which means that my small left needs to end at that point. So essentially it'll be something like that. And what I can then do is right click, I can go to time, and I can go to enable time remapping, and that's going to allow me to stretch this layer out. And what I can actually then do is, let's move that there. Time remapping is something that I'll get into at some point. But what I essentially just want to do is shift this up to there. And then that will repeat itself. It's looking terrible. Sorry. We'll just then drag that out like so. Okay, and then our square right, let's do this. Okay, so our lines hit there, and I'm then just going to set it up so that it starts there. Alright, and then it's going to end, and as it ends, I can then just end my timeline there. Okay, and then obviously I could put a lot of time then to sort of make that loop, but that's sort of beyond the parameter of what we're trying to do today. I essentially just want to introduce the concept of mats and masks, which we have now done. Cool. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, mats and masks, they essentially do the same thing, but the way that they operate is slightly different. Yeah, I hope that you find this useful. Sorry it was a bit rushed. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Ciao.